people who've, in the shade.
Just because we've got to paint the visual image for the people.
Well, you should be taking photos as well, mate, but I know it's a podcast. But we'll send them to our Facebook page. And
there we go. So
Alrighty.
just tell them we just walked down from your tent down to...
It's Little Charles Street is the name of this laneway. It runs parallel to Nicholson Street, so if anyone's local, it's on the other side of the Hive building, the supermarkets and so on. This is the wall art that we had commissioned and got released just before our rally in August last year. As I said earlier on, it's very provocative. It's huge, 2 metre high lettering in blue, and it says, "You talk, we die." And then behind through all the lettering in gold kind of calligraphy are the names of 34 people who have died from heroin overdose. Some of them very personal, some of them members of families of people involved in our community group. And yeah, this was a very powerful and effective message to send to the politicians, because we'd had by that stage 2 coronial inquiries, we'd had various reports, the parliamentary inquiry was underway, and it was nearly like a end result of a frustration, like how many more inquiries, how many more coronial inquests that come out and say as their top priority you need to have a medically supervised injecting centre. How many more of those do you need to call before you actually do something?
It kind of seems like it's like something really visceral needed to be done to, especially with the names. I mean, it humanises it, doesn't it? To walk past and read every single name.
Yeah, and then as I said, that was backed up with the rally. We certainly had plenty of offers from various politicians of various persuasions that they were coming to the rally and they'd be very happy to speak. And we said, well, that's lovely you're coming. We're great that you're coming to the rally, but no, actually, this is not a political rally. This is a person rally. It's a human rally, and the people who will be speaking are people who've been directly affected by drug death. And that was a very important point to make.
Are there any names on here that...
There are 2 nephews there of my neighbour Judy. So that's pretty personal. I haven't had a direct experience within my family or friendship circles of someone who's died from overdose. So I count myself as lucky in that regard. But it comes from, and this is the point too. It comes from all walks of life. It's not just people who are deemed no good as bottom of the barrel. Hardcore blah blah blah. How did they get there? What was their story? I'm sure they didn't wake up one day and go, hey, I'm feeling pretty pissed off with the world, I think I'll become a heroin addict. Like, that's just nonsense. There's huge and often tragic stories behind why do people end up being homeless, what's happened there. Find out the story before you start demonising and judging people. And that's been a really big part of everything we've done as a residents group, is humanise our stories, our experience, humanise the stories behind the names, and give people whose families the chance to speak about their experience. And I think that's been a very powerful, strategy sounds so formal, but a really powerful thing to have done, and important.
Hugely important. And how else have you gone about telling the stories of, apart from the family members speaking at the rally and the names here on this huge wall art, how else has the group gone about telling the stories and humanising this issue for people that might not see it in their backyard?
Well, various things along the way. Very early on, we got all of us submitted a one-pager about our experience, and we put those up on our web page, for example. Then at one point, a few of us, I think when there was one particular, I can't remember what put us to this point, but we all got pissed off again and went, right, we're going to write into the Age and the newspapers. And so we then kind of did truncated versions of those same stories. Again, often saying, well, I am a resident. And I'm not a newcomer. I've lived around here all these years and I've watched this happen and I'm sick of it. And I am firmly behind the idea of a medically supervised injecting centre. So again, just trying to counter any sort of mythology around, the residents won't wear this. Well, yes, we will. Just utilising social media, as you say, there's a core group of us who make ourselves available to do interviews on all versions of radio. Judy and Greg have gone and spoken at various health forums, being invited by various universities in journalism to speak. So we've sometimes been stretched quite thinly, but we've really made an effort to say yes to nearly everything that we've been asked to do, because if you convert a few more or get a few more people to listen and take some information and find out the facts, then you just keep breaking down all of the misinformation and the fear that's surrounded by this.
Yeah, it's a big thing that's sort of pulled this issue one way or the other, isn't it? The misinformation. And
yeah.
The fear. And that hasn't finished in Parliament yet.
Well, no. And again, going back to one of your earlier questions about, what's our focus now? One of our, since it was announced about the centre being passed and supported and where it was going to be, the cat was set amongst the pigeons, and all the misinformation started. Oh, it's going to be open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Well, no, it's not.
Which makes no sense either, because
it'd be pretty quiet in there in the wee hours.
Yes, yeah. Oh, well, I mean, things I was speaking to, I won't put this on, but I was interviewing Inga Powlich about a month ago, and she was very much against it. And things like that, when every piece of research shows that, a lot of the people who will be using the centre are homeless, and they're worried about their well-being after a certain point in time. Right. Anyway, and there's no information to show that anyone would use it after about 8 p.m.
That's right.
But that was quite a strong point of hers in talking, and
she was the one member of the parliamentary inquiry who didn't come on the residents' walk. Didn't go on the world trip because she had her fixed view, and that's in fact, as I understand it, why the parliamentary report could not and did not contain recommendations, because you have to have the unanimous support of the members on it, and she stuck to her guns very clearly. So so misinformation is being peddled. It was interesting around the time that it was announced that, quite strangely, conspiracy theory, several outlying National Liberal Party members, one from around Gippsland Way, one from Albury-Wodonga Way, posted somewhat inflammatory information on their websites and had articles published locally, or letters to the editor published locally, about it's going to be near a primary school, how outrageous of the Labor government. And the guy from, I can't remember his name now, from down Gippsland Way, I don't think he's ever had that many visitations to his Facebook page in his entire parliamentary career, because he was howled down by not dozens but hundreds of people who saw his post and just countered it with sometimes fact and sometimes, I'm a parent who has a child at that school, and can I tell you, I can't wait for it to open, because what we have to go through at the moment is unacceptable. It was amazing. I was sitting in Vienna reading these posts, just going, yeah, go for it, because their job was only to throw out a few hand grenades to get a few of their constituency outraged and writing letters. It didn't work. It backfired. It was brilliant.
That's great, because that's a very lazy tactic, isn't it?
Oh, it was so obvious.
Lazy tactic.
Yeah.
But I mean, it kind of seems like, I found it very interesting with the parliamentary committee, the reports that they received. Sorry, my brain's not working.
Drink some more water.
Come
on, let's go. We'll make our way back.
But
a bit of Atmos behind the podcast.
Yes. So there was 46 recommendations calling for, and 2 against.
Yep.
Which just so happened to be the ACL and the Australian Christian Lobby.
Yes.
And Drug Free Australia, I think.
Yeah, there's a surprise. Yes.
Margaret Courtser. patron
Court.
organisation.
Yeah.
But it just surprised me with Inga, because there were quite a few conservative, liberal members on that committee as well that turned around.
Because they were open to hearing things. She's not.
No.
She's open. They're open to being, as any reasonable and rational person would be, if you are presented with irrefutable evidence that is contrary to your preconceived notions, a reasonable and rational person will consider that and go, oh, okay, well, I was wrong.
Yeah.
You know? So the starting point is you have to be reasonable and rational.
Well, you have to be willing to listen to information.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially when you always talk about leaving a fascist country and being able to sort of assist the community, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, it's quite bare, isn't it?
Well, I think the heat. I think it'll pick up.
Away.
It'll pick up in the early evening, I think, because I did come and visit here once a few years ago around this time, and you couldn't move in Victoria Street.
Really?
Yeah.
What time's it open until?
10 o'clock tonight.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
You're not staying here all day?
No, I'm not. We're packing up at about 6 o'clock.
Okay.
And I'm going to have a cold shower.
That's a bit more civil, I think.
Yeah.
All right. Beautiful.